Hello. I hope everyone's having a good day today. And for once, I'm on time, which is a good thing. Today is May 17th, 2021. It is currently 12:30 p.m. in the United States of America. Specifically, I'm in Los Angeles, California. 12:30. I'm on time, guys. Clap it up for me. I think I deserve it. No, I don't. Anyway, as you can see, it is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. I know I just triggered some people by saying Fahrenheit. I apologize. America versus kill me. Well, today I kind of messed around with some audio. I've been trying to my audio better, but smart, so no problem. Anyway, it's pretty cloudy, but I don't like it. I like cold weather, and perfect weather for me personally. But we have a handful of news today. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. Israel, Joe Biden. We're going to be talking about police brutality, gun control, all of that jazz. By now how much we talk about. So we're going to talk about Israel first. If you don't know what's happening, we're going to do an update on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that's been going on recently in Israel. If you haven't heard by now, I don't know, you've probably been living under a rock. Literally, everyone's been talking about it. I heard there was an airstrike. Obviously, Israel did an airstrike at a building that the Associated Press and a couple of other journalists were in, and that's all I knew. On Saturday, I did stream, but I don't do politics on Saturdays, hence why I didn't talk about it. And here is Monday. So we're going to talk about it. I don't know what's happening, so I didn't want to look into it on my own time because I wanted to save my thoughts for this stream. So forgive me if it doesn't seem like I know a lot about what's happening for this specific incident. But we're going to figure it out together, okay? So you can see this was on the 15th. Today is the 17th, so obviously this happened a while ago. A lot of stuff has happened since I last covered Israel. So let's get started. Israel airstrike flattens building housing AP and other medias in Gaza City. So, yeah, we already got that part, right? In the later series of attack, an Israeli airstrike Saturday leveled a high-rise building after the military ordered occupants to evacuate. Inside were offices of several media outlets, including the Associated Press, and other residential apartments. Yeah. The Associated Press said all employees and freelancers safely evacuated the building. Associated President and CEO Gary Puritz, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that name right, but whatever, said the company is looking to the Israeli government for answers. I saw a video of, I think it was the owner of the building that was bombed. I think he was pleading on the phone with the general or a chief of the military for Israel or something like that, something along those lines. He was begging the guy to be don't bomb the building yet, give us 10 minutes. We want the journalists to go back inside the building to gather their cameras and their video equipment, precious valuable items. And the guy was on the other end was basically nah, we're gonna bomb it. And they didn't even give them a chance, and they bombed it anyway. It's horrible. We are shocked and horrified that the Israeli military would target and destroy the building housing the Associated Press Bureau and other news organizations in Gaza. He said, they have long known the location of our bureau and new journalists were there. This is not surprising. Think to yourself, now why would the Israeli military want to target the building that is housing the news outlets? Think for a moment. Use that big brain of yours. Try to understand why. Maybe it's because they don't want them reporting on what's happening. They don't want reporters and journalists to report on what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Israel. They don't want them reporting on the mass genocide that is happening to the Palestinian people in Israel. That's basically it. So I can't be surprised. It's horrible, but Jesus. We narrowly avoided a terrible loss of life. A dozen AP journalists and freelancers were inside the building and thankfully were able to evacuate them in time. I swear to God, if they did die, they wouldn't care, obviously. Following the attack, the Israeli defense released a statement saying the building was attacked because it was used by Hamas intelligence offices. Now, this is the defense that the IDF always uses, which is a bullshit argument. They try to say, oh, Hamas was there. They bomb a hospital. Oh, Hamas was there. So that gives us the right to take away human life and innocent civilians. Obviously. The IDF provided advance warnings to the building civilians occupants before fighter jets attacked, providing sufficient time to evacuate, it said. How generous of them to offer. How nice and generous of them to give them a warning. I don't know, how about you don't bomb the building in the first place? You know, maybe that could work? The building contains civilian media offices, which Hamas terror organized hides behind and uses as human shields. The statement read, the Hamas terror organization deliberately places military targets on their populated civilian areas in the Gaza Strip. Okay, so their argument is saying that Hamas likes to hide behind these things because they use the media and innocent people as human shields. Okay, but if you know that, so that makes it okay? Like, that makes it okay to bomb the fuck out of these buildings and bomb these people? Suddenly that makes it okay? Interesting. Okay, but Prude said the Associated Press has called on the Israeli government to bring forth evidence to support that claim, which they can't do because there is no evidence because it's a lie. We have no indication Hamas is in the building or active in the building, the CEO said in the statement. This is something we actively check to the best of our ability. We would never knowingly put our journalists at risk. President Biden announced on Saturday that he had spoken with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Biden said, reaffirmed his strong support for Israel's right to defend itself against rocket attacks from Hamas and other terrorist groups in Gaza. He condemned these indiscriminate attacks against towns and cities across Israel, the White House statement said. Now, for sure, I am definitely gonna talk about Joe Biden and his response. I talked about it last time. Long story short, it's not good. I do not support what Joe Biden is saying. I think his take is very... it's not good. It's pretty bad. It's really bad. It's not good. So... But then this is expected. I knew that Joe Biden wouldn't care. You think Joe Biden cares about what's happening in Israel? He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the Palestinian people dying. He doesn't care about innocent little kids dying. He doesn't care. I know this, and you should know that too. If you're going to sit here and think that Joe Biden actually cares about what's happening to the Palestinian people and the innocent people in Israel who are dying at the hands of the Israeli military, you are wrong. I'm sorry. He doesn't care. And I saw his little speech or whatever at the press conference that he did, and when he spoke about the Israeli-Palestinian war, and I commented on that. And if you didn't see that, then I'm sorry, but I already talked about it. Long story short, the United States plays a significant role in what's happening there. The statement stops short of condemning Israeli airstrikes, but Biden said raised concerns about the safety and security of journalists and reinforced the need to ensure their protection. Biden also spoke about the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas on Saturday and expressed his support for steps to enable Palestinian people to enjoy the dignity, security, freedom, and economic opportunity they deserve. The Palestinian Authority has little influence in Gaza. Yeah, no duh, the Palestinian Authority has little influence in Gaza because they don't have rights. Alright? They get little crumbs of human decency that is given to them. The U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken in an evening call with Pruitt offered his unwavering support for the independent journalists and media organizations around the world, and noted, indisability of the reporting in conflict zones. Okay, I don't care what he says, honestly. I remember last time I covered his take too. He said some out of pocket stuff last time, and I'm not gonna cover it again. Hamas, which controls the Gaza Strip, is regarded as a terrorist organization by the U.S. and many Western countries. The U.S. has no formal diplomatic relations with Hamas. Okay. Okay. The strike came only after hours of another airstrike, after another air assault killed at least 10 Palestinians, mostly children, in a densely populated refugee camp. Tell me why the Israeli military thinks it's okay to bomb refugee camps full of children. And if you want to sit here and defend that, you're crazy. You're actually insane. Okay, the attack on the camp was the deadliest offense in the recent conflict between Israel and Arab forces, the AP reported. The most escalation of conflict began a week ago, with combat and rioting erupting throughout Israel. Israeli forces shot and killed 11 people Friday during the Palestinian protests in the West Bank. Protests against Israel's use of force have erupted around the globe. Demonstrators have taken to the streets in Australia, France, Morocco, Pakistan, Spain, and the United States and the United Kingdom. This is true. I'm not gonna lie. The other day, I was with my family and we were driving in downtown, specifically downtown Los Angeles, and we're driving somewhere, and I saw a little protest going on. It was like a march, and there was a bunch of people holding Palestinian flags. They were marching and they were holding signs saying "Free Palestinians," and I thought that was really sweet. So, I have seen one march going on in specifically Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure more are happening. I just don't know of it. But yeah, I saw one protest, so that shows me that more protests are going to be happening, specifically in Los Angeles, which is not surprising. Okay, I'm gonna continue. In Paris, protesters Saturday were met with police armed with tear gas and water cannons. Interior Minister, I'm not reading that name, requested that police ban marches against the attacks in Gaza, arguing the protests could turn violent. Talk about fucking suppressing people's right to fucking... Okay. Sounds like suppressing people's voices to me, but whatever. This week, Hamas has fired hundreds of rockets into Israel, which is reported by hitting in Gaza with, aerial and artillery fire. At least 139 people have been killed in Gaza and 8 people have been killed in Israel. The AP reports. We're still not done with this, by the way. We're going to continue to talk about Gaza and, what's happening there. We're going to move on to this. I'm going to read this because I hope this one gives me more details. Okay, Israeli airstrike takes 42 and topple buildings in Gaza City. This is on the same subject, I think, again, I'm not really sure because look, so many bombings are happening. It's so much shit is popping off there. It is hard for me to keep up. It is hard for me to keep up with the amount of stuff that's happening there. And I look at the news 24/7. So if it's hard for me, I can only imagine it's very hard for regular day-to-day people. All right? Okay, Israeli airstrikes on Gaza City flattened 3 buildings and killed at least 42 people Sunday. Jesus, man. Palestinian medics said despite the heavy death toll and international efforts to broker a ceasefire, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signaled a fourth war with Gaza's Hamas rulers would continue on. What does he mean war? What do you mean war? If you look at what's happening in Israel and you think what's happening is a war, I'm sorry, you're wrong. What's happening is a genocide. It is a genocide. It's not a war. It is a genocide. All right? An actual genocide. In a televised address, Netanyahu said Sunday evening the attacks were continuing at full force and would take time. See, look, so this happened Sunday. On Saturday, they bombed the building where the social media and the media and the press were in. And the very next day, they bombed other buildings and ended up killing 42 people. I'm telling you, they are killing people and bombing stuff every day. It does not end. Israel wants to levy a heavy price for the Hamas militant group, he said. Okay, flanked by his defense minister and political rival Benny Gantz in a show of unity. Netanyahu, reiterated that message in an interview Sunday, saying that the country had to defend itself. Yeah, dude, Israeli citizens obviously in the military have the right to defend themselves, but they're literally committing mass genocide on the Palestinian people. There's a clear disadvantage here. So it's pretty stupid, if you ask me. Okay, we'll do whatever it takes to restore order and quiet and the security of our people. And deterrence. Netanyahu said, "We're trying to degrade Hamas terrorist abilities and to degrade their will to do this again. So it will take time. I hope it won't take long, but it's not immediate." Bro, Netanyahu and like the military and stuff, they're gonna continue bombing Palestinian people until they're completely wiped out. Literally a mass fucking genocide, okay? The Israeli air assault early Sunday was the deadliest single attack since the heavy fighting broke out in Israel and Hamas nearly a week ago, making the worst fight here since the devastating 2014 war in Gaza. The airstrike hit a major downtown street of residential buildings and storefronts over the course of 5 minutes after midnight, destroying two Adage's buildings and about 50 yards down the road. Jesus. Okay, at one point, a recruiter shouted, "Can you hear me?" into a hole in rubble. "Are you okay?" Minutes later, first responders pulled a survivor out and carried him off in an orange stretcher. The Gaza Health Ministry said 13 women and 8 children were among those killed, with more than 50 people wounded, and rescue efforts are still underway. Earlier, the Israeli military said it destroyed the home of the Gaza's top Hamas leader. In a separate strike in the southern town. It was the third such attack in at least 2 days of the home senior Hamas leader, who had gone underground. Israel appears to have stepped strikes in recent days to inflict as much damage as possible on Hamas on international mediators trying to broker a ceasefire, but targeting the group leaders would hinder those efforts. A U.S. diplomat is in the region to try and de-escalate situations in the UN Security Council is to meet Sunday. Listen, the U.S. isn't trying to de-escalate anything. The U.S. government is not trying to de-escalate anything at all. Okay? They aren't doing anything. Alright? The latest outbreak of violence began in East Jerusalem earlier this month when Palestinian protesters attempt to settle to forcibly evict a member of the Palestinian families from their homes, and Israeli police measures an mosque, a freaking flashpoint located on the Mount of the Old City reserved by Muslims and Jews. Hamas fired rockets towards Jerusalem late Monday, triggering the Israeli assault on Gaza. Yeah, I think mainly the situation happening in Gaza started being popular, I guess, is because videos started going around of Jewish settlers straight up just going to Palestinian people's homes and taking their houses, just stealing their property and claiming that it was theirs, and like just straight up just walking to their house and being like, yeah, this is mine now, it's free real estate. And that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people started talking about it, because they were literally stealing people's homes. The turmoil has also spilled over elsewhere, fueling protests in the occupied West Bank and stoking violence within Israel between its Jewish and Arab citizens, with clashes and vigilant attacks on people and property. At least 181 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, including 52 children, 31 women, and with 1,225 wounded. 8 Israelis have been killed, including a 5-year-old boy and a soldier. You see the difference here? Who do you think is at a more of a disadvantage? If people are calling this a war, like, shut up. It's a fucking genocide, alright? Okay, the military said Sunday it struck, okay, blah, blah, and but Hamas, okay, a senior member on Saturday destroyed the home, okay, but yeah, okay. Hamas is, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I don't care about that really, to be honest. Hamas and Islamic, okay, militant group have acknowledged 20 fighters killed since fighting broke out Monday. Israeli says the real numbers far high. Okay. An Egyptian diplomat said Israel's targeting of Hamas political leaders would complicate ceasefire efforts. The diplomat who spoke on the condition anonymously to discuss the closed door or negotiations said, okay, blah 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 blah. U.S. diplomat, yeah, okay, we already know this. The U.S. is gonna do shit though. Okay. Hamas and other militant groups have fired 2,900 rockets into Israel. The military said 450 of the rockets had fallen short or misfired, while Israeli defense intercepted, okay, 1,150. Okay. The inception rate appeared to have significantly dropped since the start of the conflict. When Israel said 90% were intercepted, the military did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Of course they didn't. Israel has meanwhile carried out hundreds of airstrikes across since Hamas seized power from the rival Palestinian forces in 2007. Israel has leveled a number of Gaza's tallest offices and residential buildings, alleging they contain Hamas military infrastructure. Again, Israel will straight up just bomb the entire part of Gaza and just be like, well, Hamas was there. Like, again, that's their only defense. That's it. And there's no proof of it. They don't have any evidence. They just say that just cuz. On Saturday, Israel bombed a 12-story building where the office of the Associated Press was located. Yeah, we just read this. The building also housed TV network and other media outlets, along with several floors of apartments. Netanyahu alleged that the Hamas military intelligence was operating inside of the building. Funny he says that because he has no evidence that that was true. He offers zero evidence. There's no evidence that that was true. All right? Okay, Israel routinely cites a Hamas presence as a reason for targeting certain locations in airstrikes, including residential buildings. The military has also accused the militant group of using journalists as human shields, but provided no evidence to back up their claims. Look, let's say, hypothetically speaking, even if that was true, even if Hamas was using journalists as human shields, which isn't true because there's no evidence of that, even if that was true, that's not a good excuse to bomb people. That still isn't a good excuse. What are you talking about? That's still not a good excuse, dummy. Okay, the Associated Press has operated in the building for 15 years. Look, okay, the Associated Press has been in that building for 15 years, right? And the military's like, we didn't know. Like, we thought Hamas was there. Even though we know that the Associated Press has been in that building for 15 years, we didn't know. Like, again, just lying. That's what they do best, is just lying all the time. And people are dumb enough to fucking believe it. Okay, including through 3 previous wars between Israel and Hamas. During those conflicts, as well as the current one, the news agency cameras from its top floor office, okay, blah, blah, targeted safer, okay, blah, 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 blah. We have no indication Hamas is in the building or active in the building. The Associated Press, okay, we already read this. Okay, in the afternoon, the military called for the building's owner. Okay, well, yeah, this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about earlier. In the afternoon, the military called the building's owner and warned an airstrike would come within an hour. AP staffers and others occupant evacuated safely. Soon after, 3 missiles hit the building and destroyed it, bringing it crashing down in a giant cloud of dust. The world will know less about what's happening in Gaza because of what happened today. Okay, Pruitt said. We are shocked and horrified. See, what did I say? They bombed the building because they know that all of the news people are in there. So they were like, yeah, all of their camera footage, all of their like hard drives and all of their stuff full of pictures and video camera footage of what's happening and the mistreatment that what's happening there is never going to be shown now. It's never going to be given to the public. They know what they were doing. It doesn't take a genius to understand that, okay? I'm a dumbass and I could understand this, okay? So I'm pretty sure you can get it too. He said the AP was seeking information from the Israeli government and engaged with the U.S. Department to learn more. The U.S. Secretary of State, okay, blah blah. Okay, we read this. The Biden administration has affirmed its support for Israel, or working to de-escalate the crisis. The U.S. diplomat Haiti I don't know how to read that. Look, speaking of the Biden administration, I want you guys to understand. The U.S. gives Israel millions of dollars every single day. Okay? Speaking of Joe Biden and what the United States is doing, you read this? Can you read this? This is what's happening. Joe Biden doesn't care. Joe Biden isn't doing shit. Okay, Biden administration approved a $735 million arms sales to Israel. So basically what that means is that Joe Biden has sold $735 million worth of weaponry to Israel. And he's over here talking about de-escalating the situation when he's literally selling millions of dollars worth of weapons to them so they can continue using those weapons, United States weapons, to kill fucking Palestinian people. Your tax dollars, listen, if you live in the United States of America, your tax dollars, your taxes, your tax money is being used to kill innocent people. Your money is being used to commit genocide. And if you are okay with that, I need you to see a doctor. Your tax dollars are being used to kill innocent kids, innocent women, innocent men, innocent people who are at a disadvantage and are fighting for their lives. That is what your tax dollars is being used for right now. As we sit here, that is what your tax dollars is being used for. And that's the truth. That is literally the truth. And the people we have in power, and people like Joe Biden, don't care. All right? They don't care. We could be using this money for our own people, for our own citizens that are suffering right now. But no, we're going to give our money to a different country so they could use that money to kill a lot of people and to commit mass genocide. And like, we're okay with that. Are you kidding me? Okay, we're going to read this, all right? I just saw this morning, so I'm a little bit late. I know this came out probably yesterday. President Biden's administration approved the potential sale of $735 million, and received guided weapons to Israel. And congressional sources said on Monday that the U.S. lawmakers were not expected to object the deal, despite violence between the Palestinian and Israeli militants. See? Lawmakers were not expected to object the deal. They're gonna take it. Three congressional aides said Congress was officially notified the intended commercial sale on May 5th as part of the new regulation, blah blah. Major fire weapons, sales agreement can go on ahead. And listen again, I'm gonna remind people. The conflict between Israel and Palestinians has been going on for years. I believe it's been going on for about 70 years by now. The United States has continuously offered aid and offered weapons and sold weapons to the country of Israel for a very long time. The US has known that shit like this has been happening in Gaza and in Israel for years, and they never cared. They continue. They know mass genocide has been going on for years, and yet our country still decides to give them weapons and to give them money, millions and millions of dollars, millions of taxpayer money going to that country to commit genocide. I want people to really understand that, okay? And this has been going on for a while, alright? Hold on, I'm gonna be switching back and forth because I'm not trying to read all of it. It just pisses me off, okay? Okay, just approve the sale. Alright. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really else to say. I'm gonna show you something. to show you how long this behavior has been fucking happening in this country. All right? This isn't new. Okay? See this. Hold on. Watch this.
Last night, 2020 presidential candidate.
Keep in mind, this video was uploaded in 2019. Okay? This video was uploaded in 2019, dude.
Last night, 2020 presidential candidate Bernie Sanders suggested to me that Israel should now decline the billions of dollars it receives in U.S. aid annually.
Bro, it should have been him. It should have been him. It should have been, oh my god, it should have been Bernie Sanders, bro. I'm sorry. I'm just, okay, I'm gonna rewind it. I'm sorry.
Billions of dollars it receives in U.S. aid annually.
The idea that a member of the United States Congress cannot visit a nation, which, by the way, we support to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, is clearly an outrage. And if Israel doesn't want members of the United States Congress to visit their country to get a first-hand look at what's going on, and I've been there many, many times, but if he doesn't want members to visit, maybe he can respectfully decline the billions of dollars that we give to Israel.
All right, so what's the foreign aid? What's the billions of dollars that Sanders is talking about? Here's the deal. The United States has been sending money to Israel for decades. In fact, Israel has been the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign assistance since World War II. Now, so far, Israel has racked up a total of approximately $142.3 billion.
See, look, and this was in 2019. We're in 2021 by now. That price has gone up.
In aid. This is bilateral assistance, missile defense funding, and other forms of military.
Speaking of defense missile funding, President Robert Biden just did that literally today. All right? Literally today or yesterday. He just did that. It's still going on years later.
Aid and cash aid. Just to give you the scope of how much this is annually, Israel received $3.2 billion in aid in the fiscal year 2017 alone. The same year, the U.S. spent more than $46 billion in total foreign aid. About 7% of that went to Israel. The only two countries in 2017 that received more were Afghanistan and Iraq. In 2016, the United States formally signed a foreign aid agreement with Israel. It's the largest aid package in American history.
Damn, that's a lot of money. $38 billion. That's a big hunk of change. You know where also that money could go into? The United States. That money could easily be going back to the U.S., to our own citizens. Keep in mind, this is literally your money. This is your money. If you're American, this is literally your fucking tax dollars. This is your money being used in other countries to kill innocent people.
It requires the United States to send $38 billion in military aid to Israel over a 10-year period, and it prohibits any future president from withdrawing from the agreement until 2026. Hey, MS.
See? So look. So, unfortunately, for a long time, it pisses me off. Like the United States is just addicted to fucking genocide. It's just addicted to committing mass genocide in other countries. You know, if we can't do it to our own people, we got to do it to other people, right? So we're gonna get more deep into the money situation, all right? So we're gonna dive more deeper into this. Okay, this is a Congressional Research Service. The U.S. aid to Israel. This is a document. It's fucking long, all right? You can see here. This is online. It's free of access. You can get this yourself and you could read through it if you want. I am not going to read through 46 pages of documents to show you, okay? But this, I found this website. This kind of gives you more of a gist of what's happening. U.S. aid and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The U.S. provides nearly $10.5 million in military aid per day, while it gives Palestinians $0 in military aid. All of it goes to Israel. All of it. Literally all of it. Okay, we're gonna read through this. Okay, buckle up. Since the October War in 1973, Washington has provided Israel with the level of support, dropping the amounts provided to any other state. It has been the largest annual recipient of the U.S. direct economic and military assistance since 1976, and the largest total recipients since World War II. And direct U.S. aid to Israel amounts well over 140 billion in 2003 dollars. Israel receives 3 billion in direct foreign assistance each year, which is roughly 1/5 of America's entire foreign aid budget. In per capita terms, the United States gives Israel a direct subsidy worth of 500 per year. The largely is especially striking. Okay, when one realizes that Israel is now a wealthy industry state with the per capita income roughly equal to South Korea or Spain. All right, and all of this information is coming from literally these documents. Okay, and we're gonna look into these documents too. Again, I'm not gonna read the entire thing because that's insane. All right. Okay, according to the report, the United States gave Israel $3.3 billion. Okay, of also a year 2020 in direct the military aid, also referred to as foreign military aid. FMF. Congress also authorized 500 million for joint the U.S. Israel missile defense program. Okay, bringing total military aid to Israel up to $3.8 billion per year. Put it another way, American taxpayers give Israel American taxpayers give Israel nearly $10.5 million every day. Every single day. Every day. Over the past 20 years, the U.S. has slowly phased out economic aid to Israel and gradually replaced it with increased military aid. I wonder why. In September 2016, the United States and Israeli government signed a new 10-year, in the 10-year program. We just saw that in the video. We saw that it was 10 years, where the U.S. pledged to give Israel $38 billion in military aid over the course of 10 years. This new MOU replaces a $30 billion 10-year agreement signed by Bush administration that expired in 2018. Again, dude, American presidents are just addicted to giving Israel money. Just addicted to giving them billions and billions of dollars instead of giving that money to our own fucking citizens who need it. Where are those Republicans at? Where are those American Republicans who always talk about America first? Isn't their ideology and their whole thing about putting America first? Well, where are you now? So what's up? Where are you now? Where are you now? We're giving billions of dollars to a different country that's using it to kill people. But you say you want America first. Where are you now? Where's your defense now? What's up? Let's talk about it. Pull up. Let's talk about it. What happened to America first? Since that's what those people always fucking talk about, right? Israel is by far the largest recipient of U.S. Foreign military aid, according to the CRS report. The president's request for Israel for blah blah. That can pass approximately 59% in total of U.S. foreign military financing worldwide. The report continues. Okay, again, I am not reading all of this. It's a lot. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Thanks in part to the indirect U.S. accessibility. Okay, blah blah. Israel's arms industry has become one of the world's strongest in the world. Between 2001 and 2008, Israel was the seventh largest arms supplier to the world, selling $9.9 billion worth of equipment, and it continues to grow stronger. In 2019, the Israelis sold $7.2 billion in military goods to other countries. The former Assistant Secretary of Defense from 2000 to 2009 asked, how inaccessible is it that we are competing against the Israeli and the Indian defense, blah, market at the same time we're expanding military, sustaining the Israeli defense industry. A U.S. government source estimates that Israel is using approximately $1.2 billion each year, 38.7% of the aid it receives from the U.S. to directly support the domestic budget other than the build. Okay, blah, blah. Yeah, we get it. The U.S. also contributes funds to the U.S. joint. Yeah. Okay, long story short, the United States gives a fuck ton of money to Israel. All right? So we're gonna look through this document where this page got its sources from. This is where the source is. This document, again, if you want to read it for yourself, you can. But I am not gonna read through this whole shit, okay? We're gonna look at this. Total one table, total U.S. foreign aid obligations to Israel in 1946 to 2020. Financial year, oh shit, I zoomed out too out, my bad. Alright, so this gives you kind of a rough idea of how much is being spent. Again, I'm not gonna read all of it, that's fucking insanity. But what I am gonna do is this. Alright. The Trump administration requested $3.3 billion of FMF for Israel and $500 million in missile defense aid. To mark the second year of MOU, the administration also requested $5 million for migration and refugee assistance, humanitation funding for migrants to Israel. See, so this was obviously this was happening during the fucking Trump administration, no shit. Donald Trump was like, yeah, dude, let's give Israel more money. Let's do that. Because that's smart, right? And we're going to look at this, okay? U.S. aid to Israel over the decades, total amount of U.S. aid pledged to Israel in MOUs. So you can see how over the years in this, it has gone up. Under Bush, the total amount of money has gone up. Over Obama, it went up. Gradually over time, the pricing has gone up. All right, so that can give you a rough idea of how much is what's happening. Basically, what I'm saying. Now let me continue to go through this again. I haven't read the whole thing. Fuck that. I'm not crazy. Okay, blah 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 blah. Operations bill. Okay, I'm done with this. What was that? Yeah. And keep in mind, this is still happening. Literally just read you a thing saying how fucking Joe Biden was like, yeah, dude, let's just give Israel more weapons because that's fucking pog. I love giving Israel more weapons that they can use to kill innocent people. Alright, I'm not going to read this entire thing, fuck that, but I'm done with this. I just wanted to point out a few points to you. So, I'm moving away from that. Long story short, this is still happening. Your taxpayer money, your tax dollars are being used to kill innocent people. And the United States government could care less. They don't care, okay? So, I've already been talking about Israel for about an hour now. And I'm done talking about it. After I'm done with the other news stuff, I'll go back to Israel and I'll see what's happening because I know I missed some stuff and we'll go back to it, but for now I'm done with it. We are going to move on. We're going to move on away from Israel and we're going to be talking about right now about U.S. immigration. I talked about immigration last time and I'm going to cover it again because there's obviously more news on immigration, so I have to cover it. From India, Brazil, and beyond, pandemic refugees at the border. Fleeing virus-devastated economies, migrants are traveling long distances to reach the United States and then walking through gaps at the border in the border wall. The Arizona desert has become a favorite crossing point. See, bro, that wall wasn't gonna do shit. Okay, whatever. We're gonna read this. Okay. Standing by the hulking border wall, a U.S. Border Patrol agent watched as cars dropped off passengers at the edge of the road and on the Mexican side. Oh no, he muttered. Here comes more. In the next hours, dozens of people would recede a bare hillock past a puddle where the Colorado River trickles and without fanfare passing through a gap in rust beam barriers that soars between the United States and Mexico. They had completed the final leg in journey that began weeks or months earlier in Brazil, Cuba, India, and Venezuela. Carrying dusty backpacks and dreams of new jobs in the cities, the unauthorized immigrants did not sprint across the road to hide past of fields, as many do when they cross the border in the past. Many of them walked towards the agents, raised their arms in the air in surrender, confident that they would not be turned away. Javier Gomez fell to his knees and prayed, his daughter Maria by his side. We sold our house and everything word over land. We are blessed to have made it. Oh my god, dude. This is so fucking sad. Okay, this is sad. This is sad as fuck. Okay. Bro, look at all these people crying. Like, okay, I don't want to look at that. Like, that hurts my heart. Okay, the Biden administration continues to grapple with the swelling numbers of migrants along the southwest border. In April alone, 178,000 people were encountered by the border control, the highest number in 20 years. Most of them from Central America, fleeing gang violence and natural disasters. But the past few months have also brought a much different wave of migrants that the Biden administration was not prepared to address: pandemic refugees. What do you mean? That isn't surprising. What are you talking about? There are people arriving in even greater numbers from far-flung countries where the coronavirus has caused unimaginable levels of illness and death, and accumulated economics and livelihoods. Yeah, fucking for the past few weeks, I've been covering India, and I've been covering the COVID crisis that was happening in India. Long story short, fucking thousands of people are dying in India every single day, and it's not getting better. Okay. If eking out of existence was challenging in such countries before, it is, in many of them, it has now become almost impossible. According to the official data released this week, 30% of all families encountered along the border in April hailed from countries other than Mexico, and the central countries of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, compared to just 7.5% in April 2019 during the last border surge. The coronavirus pandemic has had fear-reaching consequences of the global economy, erasing hundreds of millions of jobs, and it has disproportionately affected developing countries, where it could set back decades of progress, according to economics. About 13,000 migrants have landed in Italy, the gateway to Europe, so far this year, 3 times as many as the same period last year. At the U.S. border in recent months, agents have stopped people from more than 160 countries, and the geography coincides with the path of the virus's worst devastations. More than 12,500 Endurians were encountered in March, up from 3,000 in January. Nearly 4,000 Brazilians and more than 3,500 Venezuelans were intercepted, up from just 300 to 284. Okay, recently in January, the numbers in coming months are expected to be higher. Yeah, dude. I mean, are we surprised by this? No, we're not. Because coronavirus is literally kicking the ass out of other countries right now, beating the fuck out of people right now. So it makes sense that they want to immigrate and they want to leave their country because they're going through rough shit right now. They're going through horrible things right now. From India and elsewhere in Asia, they embark on it's fog journeys. Some reported taking buses in their hometowns to a big city like Mumbai, where they boarded planes to Dubai and then connected through Moscow, Paris, and finally to Mexico City. Okay, from there they embarked on a 2-day bus ride to reach the U.S. To the Mexico-U.S. border. Bro, oh my god, dude, what the fuck? Literally, these people going to fucking hell and back just to get to the border. That's crazy. Many of them are entering the United States through wide openings in the border wall near Yuma. Okay, sparing them from the risky routes through remote desert regions where migrants frequently lose their bearings, or across the Rio Grande in Texas where immigrants occasionally drown. Jesus. Okay, border agents working in the human sector said the number of migrants arriving there now dwarfs the surge of Central Americans 2 years that prompted some of the harsh immigration. They said they were stuck. Yeah, no shit. Don't fuck have life or religion, national membership. Migrants border hardship widen that. So those